Happy Friday, everybody. Marlene, aka Snow Gardener 307. We are here for our Back to the Basics series. We are going to catch up with Sharla. We're also going to talk about something that happens a lot when you start budgeting or when you've been budgeting for a while. So let's go ahead and hop into this.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
I am so excited you guys decided to join me this Friday, and I'm excited to give you guys an update on Sharla. Her and her family, if you are not familiar, have been working with me for the past couple months. Is that right? Is it a couple months? Past couple months? Couple months? Few months? I don't know. All the time warps together. We have been working together to try to get them in a more financially secure position. Sharla had some medical things happen, and all of a sudden they were upside down. If you have experienced that in your life, you understand how stressful that can be and how awful it is to dig yourself out of the hole. So let's talk about what we've got. So this, I've got her paycheck to paycheck. We're going to put it right up here for you guys. So this is for paycheck from 8/22/25. And so it was her husband's check, and they have a small child support check. And so they are exactly on track with how much they thought they were going to have, $1,400.87. And we had two bills that were being paid. The car that is due on 9/13 was getting $360.28 towards it, and also Wayfair number 1, $36.80. You can see Wayfair 2 and 3, which if you've been following along, you know that those have already been paid off. So bills was $397.08, leaving $1,003.79. Then we scroll on down a little bit further, and we have got hubby's money for $25, and we've also got groceries or food. And so food is for $148.92, so over budget $23.92. There are going to be some changes coming up in September for Sharla's budget. We have been talking about that. We have one more week of August, and then we're going to be initiating some different things. And this is kind of what we're going to talk about at the end of this video as well. So she spent $173.92. But if you look, because she didn't have those other bills up at the top, those other Wayfairs, it said we were going to have leftover of $827.21. We have a leftover of $829.87. So we're pretty close to the anticipated budget. And then we go over to the sinking funds. And you can see I've got zero and everything. And she's got a line down through everything. And she added some notes. She had football pitchers, parking pass, and dental copay on here. These were things that were not budgeted, but they pop up. So football picks, $78, parking pass, $20, and dental copay, $100. It looks like that's for both of their children. So that was $198. That was not anticipated. And so then that left $631.87. So then we go to the debt snowball. And of course, Wayfair 2 and 3 are already paid off. We had originally planned on paying $425.78 to debt in this check. However, Sharla has really buckled down and decided, you know what? Not having any money in emergency fund really bothers me. So we are stepping back, we're changing, and guess what, you guys? That's what happens. I change my budget quite often because I think when I make my budget, I'm like, oh, I want to do this. And then halfway through the month, I'm like, this isn't working, or maybe my priorities have changed. So that's what happens. Budgets are not set in stone. They are ever evolving. They are ever flowing, right? Because things are always happening. So no extra money went to debt this paycheck. But if you scroll down just a little bit further, we have emergency fund, which had $0 in it, now has $600. So she's 60% to her goal for emergency fund. She wants a baby emergency fund of $1,000, which is what I recommend. And of course, that comes from Dave Ramsey. You guys know that somebody in my comments, I can't remember who it was, they said that they date the Ramsey plan. And that's kind of how I feel like too. I'm not married to it, but I date it. I love some concepts of his, but I still use credit cards. And I know that's 100% against the Ramsey plan. So $600, that is going to give them a little bit of breathing room, be able to relax a little bit. And so our goal, our number one goal now, is to get that $1,000 emergency fund. And then down here at the leftover, you see she's got $31.87, but then she's written a little note down there. She said had to get trash bag and dishwasher pods, minus 19. So she had $12.87 remaining. Again, another great week. right? Budget up, down, some things above, some things below. That's what happens a lot of times, you guys, especially with food, things like that. And of course, if you need trash bags and dishwasher pods, you need to do what you need to do. And I can tell you this, if you watch my other channel where I do grocery hauls, I have got one where I compare what if I had to buy the stuff at my grocery store, how much I would pay for stuff such as laundry detergent, such as paper towels, stuff like that. And so for me, living in a small town where I can't just go to Walmart, I can't go to Target, I can't go to any big chain store. I have one grocery store. We do have a Dollar General and we do have a Family Dollar. So we do have those two. Dollar General. Ooh, Dollar General. Dollar General is fairly new. The Family Dollar just got redone because, of course, it was redone a couple of years ago when Family Dollar, Dollar Tree merged together and they did the dual stores. Well, then, of course, Dollar Tree got sold, so then they took it away. So it just got taken away, right? Again, which is okay. So we do have those options. And I need to get better about going and looking at prices there. I recently bought myself some of those little mini pizzas. I just love those things. No, I know they're not healthy for me, but I just bought some of those and I bought them from the Family Dollar because they had the Supreme ones and I hadn't had those in a while. I'm like, oh, those look good. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, I wonder if those were cheaper there than they were at my grocery store. I was pleasantly surprised to find that they were cheaper. So that's one of those things. So for Sharla having to get trash bags and dishwasher pods, you know, that is a lot. If you only have $125 in your budget and you need that stuff, that's a big chunk. You need toilet paper, you need deodorant, toothpaste, you know, all of those household things. And so for me, my answer to that, if you watch my budget and you watch me stuff cash, is that I have Sam's Club. I don't travel to Sam's Club. The closest Sam's Club to me is actually in Idaho. So, you know, and in the past I have, or if I go to Utah or I go somewhere in Wyoming that has one, sometimes I'll go in and I'll buy stuff because I do love getting their refrigerated stuff. Like, for example, when we did the lake house with all of my cousins and stuff, I had signed up for a salad bar for the family. Oh, it turned out so yummy. And we ate salads all week and veggies and stuff. But I went to Sam's Club when I got to Utah to buy all the salad bar stuff. And then I also listened to what they said online for how much you should buy. It was way too much. Way, way, way too much for the salad bar. But it saved me a ton of money. If I had bought that stuff here locally, would have been so expensive. So that is one reason why my husband and I put money into our Sam's Club envelope every single month, so that when we need to purchase those things, we've got it. And so once Sharla gets everything, you know, paid and they get the debt paid down and they figure out where the incomes are going to be, then hopefully she'll have that household sinking fund. So when she needs to stock up on that type of stuff, it can come out of that budget instead of out of the grocery budget. So $12.87, a huge win, right? You still got a little bit of money in there. That's always a win. And $600 into the emergency fund. So nothing extra to debt this time. But as we said, when you're on your journey, you have to be realistic. And sometimes you're going to be able to put money towards debt, towards emergency fund, towards vacation, towards whatever your goals are. And sometimes you're not going to be able to. That is just life. And that is how life happens. So the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about after giving Sharla a round of applause, I forgot to give her a round of applause, is I want to talk to you guys just about the changes in your budget. Okay. So often we get into our head when we're building a budget that this is my budget. This is going to be my forever budget. This is how I'm going to budget always. That's not what happens, you guys. You need to be able to look at your budget realistically every single week, every month, whatever, quarterly, and say, is this still working for us? Because life changes, bills change. How much you're spending on something is going to change. For example, for me, when my son moved out, my budget changed completely. I didn't need near as much money for food because, you know, feeding an 18-year-old young man took, you know, it cost an arm and a leg to feed him. And so all of a sudden I realized, okay, you know, this money doesn't need to go here. It's kind of like on my other channel where I do the grocery hauls and stuff. It's so strange being an empty nester and not having the money going out for that food. Now, don't get me wrong, the money's going out in different places. Going out in different places. It finds a way just when you think you're going to have extra money, right? And when you're first starting out on your budget, it's hard to have that extra money. Like Sharla, it's hard to have money for trash bags. I need trash bags. Who here loves to go spend money on trash bags? Toilet paper, deodorant, feminine products. Oh, I hated that. I hated that. That was one of the things that I hated spending money on, is one of those things, but we still need to do it. So what I recommend that you do is, if you have a partner, a husband, a spouse, a significant other that you budget with, that you guys hold budget meetings. Now, even though Mr. Snow Gardener and I budget separately, and we don't officially have sit-down meetings, because, I'm a crazy lady and I do budgeting stuff on the daily. We do talk about what our goals are on a regular basis. I let him know for my finances, his finances, our finances. I let him know what's going on. I let him know when big purchases are coming up. For example, I just bought car tires, but needed to do it. Now, I have a car sinking fund, so the money came out of there. So it wasn't, it wasn't a worry. It didn't affect my finances at all, because I knew that was coming. Like when car insurance is due, right? If you do a 6-month plan, a lot of times that can be a good chunk of money being due. And, so I talked to him about that stuff. And so he isn't oblivious to the budget. And if you're watching my probate series, I think that is one thing that I have found in all of my research of the probate process, as well as just the death of someone, a loved one, is how sad it is when the person who is in charge of the finances passes away or gets sick or something like that happens, and the other person has to pick stuff up and they have no idea what's going on. They don't know what the bills are. They don't know what the bank passwords are. They don't know how much money they make. They don't know what needs to be paid. And that is just devastating. So I encourage you, my encouragement for the week is, I assume if you're watching this video, you are probably one of the ones that's probably making a lot of the decisions in the budget. If that is you, I encourage you to bring in the other people in your family, whoever may need to be there, so that you guys can work on this together. Now, I'm not saying that they have to sit there and pay bills with you every single week or anything like that, but you should have some sort of resource that has everything, somewhere. Maybe it's all written down. Don't just leave it, obviously, where anybody can find it, but passwords, stuff like that. They have those kits now that you can buy that, are like a little mini filing cabinet, or a hanging file folder is what I mean. And, where you put all of that stuff in. It could be something as simple as a little notebook that has all of the stuff written into it that you have in a safe that is kept somewhere safe, so that somebody has that. Don't leave your loved ones holding the bag when they don't even know where the bag is. And make sure your budget, as you guys are working through your budget, make sure that both of you guys are aware, if you do have somebody you're sharing a budget with, if it's just you, and you are a single person or a retired person that is a widower or whatever, there needs to be somebody in your life that you can at least let know. If there's nobody in your life that you can 100% trust with passwords or anything, just maybe say, if anything happens to me, I've got a safety deposit box or something like that. But the problem is, if you just do that and there's nobody in your life that you can trust, then they can't get into the safety deposit box. We almost ran into that with my stepdad. He was in ICU and he's telling me where everything's at. And he tells me that his will is in the safety deposit box. And I'm like, what safety deposit box? And he's like, it's at, and he gives me the bank name. And I'm like, okay, I'm not on that safety deposit box. He's like, no, you're on the account, so you should be fine. That's not how that works, you guys. Just because a couple years before he had added me to his bank accounts, it didn't mean that I had access to the safety deposit box. So then I had to figure out, first of all, where the safety deposit box was, right? Then I had to figure out, how do I get access to the safety deposit box? So the place that he told me where the safety deposit box was, I called and asked, and they said, we used to have safety deposit boxes, but we don't have them anymore. And I went, oh my gosh. then luckily he only had 2 places he banked. And so I called the other place and I said, I don't know if you can tell me this or not. I explained the situation to them. I explained that I was on his bank accounts. And they said, yes, we can confirm that he has a safety deposit box here. And I said, okay, I'm coming to see you. Long story short, this is not where this video was supposed to go, but here you go, squirrel moment. Long story short, they worked with me and I was able to take the paperwork to the hospital for him to sign to give me access to the safety deposit box while he's in the ICU. But I had to find a notary that would sign the paper. Do you guys know how hard that is? Because notaries don't want to be held responsible for thinking that maybe me as his stepdaughter, I'm trying to steal all of his money, right? Maybe, maybe he's not of his sound mind or something like that. Luckily, we were able to find somebody that was able to do it. And I was able to access the safety deposit box and get the will. And so we had that when he did pass. But you guys, that could have been a disaster. And luckily, we had enough time to have that conversation. Now, he did go from the ICU to a nursing home for almost 30 days before he passed. So we had a little bit more time. But he was in the ICU and they didn't know how long he was going to make it. So I was in a panic. So do a little bit of due diligence. I'm going to work really hard on the probate series and try to give you guys as much information as I can about the process. One thing that I am definitely working on as well is to make sure that my children are not left in the disaster that I was left with. So I know that's not budgeting basics, but there you go. Sometimes you just get what you get on this channel. I can't even talk. Right? You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. All right, you guys, that's it for me today. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and I will see you back on here for 10-Minute Monday. And also, you guys, don't miss my daily videos or shorts where we are putting money towards the mortgage every single day playing games. Until I see you guys next time, remember to keep on smiling. Bye, everybody.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4,